Week 12 of the NFL season is upon us with the Turf and Touchdowns podcast focusing on Thursday Night Football. We've got the Browns taking on the Steelers. Luke Elder alongside Tom Collins, as always. I've just realised I'm kind of dressed up in half Browns colours.
Yeah, I don't love it. I have to admit, I really don't love it. You do go for those bold jumpers on a weekly basis, I have to admit.
I like a bright colour. Colour. Unlike you, Mr. Boring.
Yeah, I love a black.
Quietly looking forward to this game. The Browns and the Steelers, they've both been surprises this year.
Yeah, they have. The Steelers have been overachieving. They're 8-2 so far. I thought they'd be around 500, 5-5 for that basis. I didn't love them coming into the season, I have to admit, but they are doing well. Meanwhile, the Cleveland Browns have sucked throughout the whole season so far. I was going to say throughout the first portion, but it's actually been the whole year. They're 2-8. They've got a quarterback change. They're lacking talent on offense. Their defense just isn't playing well. So, yeah, two polarizing seasons so far for these teams. SBK traders, who we'll talk about SBK in a second, they have the Steelers at 4-point favorites in this matchup. I think that's very fair, but it should be a good game, even if it's going to be a bit of a defensive scrap.
Yeah, exactly that. Look, the over-under is not big in this spot. We'll get to that in a moment. But subscribe, leave a comment down below, do all the normal stuff. Thank you very much for supporting us. We'll get to a few bits of housekeeping in a moment, but let's tell you about our good friends over at SBK. If you haven't downloaded the app already and you are a new customer, then head over to it. SBK will give all new customers £40 in free bets when you sign up and bet £10. What are you waiting for? Terms and conditions apply. 18 plus. Please gamble responsibly. Almost lost myself then because I didn't say T's and C's. I said terms. I was like, oh, what's the second word?
Yeah, that was rogue. No one says terms and conditions nowadays, mate.
I know. T's and C's. That's it. That's it. Tom's and Collins's. Right. Housekeeping. 3 things. First one, we're not going to do a horse racing video this week because the horse racing is not great. So what we're going to do, we're not going to leave you guys short. We're still going to do our 3 videos, but we're going to do a Monday Night Football special. So it'll be a Monday Night Football game on its own. That will be a standalone preview. We will still be doing the Sunday one as well. Speaking of the Sunday preview, last week we asked, you guys absolutely crushed it as well. We said 40 likes on the video and we will do a giveaway next week. That giveaway will be happening. I think we've got about 51 likes. That will be happening on the Sunday video. So come back, take a look at the Sunday video. All details will be on there. And thirdly, we talk about expanding our wardrobe a touch. I've been on holiday recently, and because I'm just a good friend, just a really good friend, I bought some goodies back for Tom Collins. We left them in the spot, which I mean, I left it at work. Tom's got it. Tom's got a present. Is the long and short.
Yeah, it was a care package left in a secretive spot in the Sky Sports studios. Fortunately, no one else took them. That was an absolute prime thing for Enzo to do, by the way, but he didn't take it. But I've got it here. I'm yet to see it, so I'm looking forward to this. This section may be boring to a few, but I promise you it's football related. Well, I hope so anyway. I haven't seen it. But I'm looking forward to it.
Cody's present wasn't football related. Cody's present was Mickey Mouse lollies. But you can open it. Go ahead. You can open it right now.
Hopefully you cannot hear the bag rustling on my microphone as we pull it out of what is a black bin bag, I have to admit.
Black bin bag.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Oh, the Gators. The Gators are here. Hold on a second. I need to pause this. You said that you didn't say. You wore a Florida State jumper, did you? 2 weeks back? Yeah. So are we now rivals? Is that what this is?
I've hated you from the start.
I think you have. This is quite cool, though, isn't it? Look at this. I'm going to have to wear this on the Sunday pod.
The problem is that Tom is a very small man.
Whoa. In height, I'm absolutely not.
Still under me. But, I asked Tom when I was out in America, I was like, what size shirt are you, by the way? And he goes, small, medium, sometimes. I was like, right, okay. And America is a country where the food is fantastic. I put on like 6-7 pounds over there, so some of the clothes are bigger.
They are,
and they were like, I didn't want to get you a 3XL thing, so I thought I'd buy you something in that, and that meant that Florida State was off the table.
Well, I like that we're rivals now. You should wear the Florida State jumper on in the Sunday pod, and people from Florida will love us.
Exactly. Exactly. I mean, the state as a whole did vote for Trump, but they can still love us. That's fine. Turf and touchdowns. Let's talk about Thursday night football. We've got the Steelers taking on the Browns. As I say, it's not going to be a high scoring affair. -4. So at the moment, the Steelers on the spread 36.5 is the over under for the game total, and the money line 20 to 41, which is just a very odd made up price regards to the Steelers, but quite looking forward to this game. I think we've both accepted, Tom, that we're not going to get too many points on this, but I have enjoyed watching both of these teams. Admittedly, since Deshaun Watson has gone and he's no longer playing football for this season, maybe not for the Browns, full stop, we'll see. But both teams have been pleasant in the last few weeks.
Yeah, the Steelers have dramatically overachieved, as already talked about. They beat the Commanders 2 weeks back by a point. Jaden Daniels' offense for Washington is high-powered, yet the Pittsburgh Steelers stopped them and managed to win that game. And then on Sunday, they beat the Baltimore Ravens, which I didn't foresee. You actually mentioned on the podcast that it might happen. I didn't like it at all, but you were right, so I was wrong. I'm happy to admit that. But the Steelers are on a big run right now. I think it's 5 straight. They're looking to continue that winning streak, and they've got a good chance against the Cleveland Browns, who have been ropey. Obviously, Deshaun Watson was poor to start the year. No wonder they kind of gave up on the season even before his injury. And then his injury means he's out for the rest of the campaign. Dorian Thompson Robinson has been given a chance and didn't go overly well. Now Jameis Winston's in, and their offense is at least good to watch as a neutral. He has a loose cannon for an arm. He slings picks. He slings touchdowns. He just throws the ball a lot, which is good to watch, but it doesn't necessarily translate into wins. SBK have the Steelers at 4-point favorites. I think that's kind of across the board what we're expecting in this game right now, the market and the handicap. I think it's perfectly fair. You know, the Steelers are 8-2, the Browns are 2-8. The Steelers are on a winning streak, the Browns are on a losing streak. It feels like the Steelers will win this game. The problem with Cleveland, they just make too many mistakes. Penalties, dropped balls, poor throws, bad defensive coverages. Like, they make too many errors. And when that happens, the opposition team generally wins. If you look back at strike rates in the head-to-head between these two teams, it heavily favours Pittsburgh as well. I mean, go back to 2000. They play each other twice a year. They're divisional rivals. The Steelers are 39-9-1 against the Browns. 1 tie, 9 losses, 39 victories. Just a hugely dominant display for Pittsburgh against Cleveland. Pittsburgh are also 4-1 on the road this year. Meanwhile, the Browns are 1-4 at home. They've lost 4 games, including to the New York Giants, by the way. Say that quietly. So there's just a hugely strong case to be made for taking Pittsburgh -4. Drum roll. And that's going to be my only bet in this matchup. Pittsburgh Steelers -4 at 10-11. I love it. I don't want to be messing around with the player props. We'll get to that in a second. But that's going to be my main play. I think Pittsburgh cover here.
Yeah, I like it. As Tom has learned from his mistakes last week, he's not taking on Pittsburgh this week. The Cleveland offense, you might look at it and the whole think, well, that's quite a good offense. They're putting up lots of yards. They're exciting to watch. What's the fewest amount of passes that Jameis Winston has thrown in a full game of the 3?
It's got to be minimum 35. It's got to be
41.
Yeah, it's not surprising. The guy just look. They put the ball in his hands. Firstly, they always go down in games, so he has to throw the ball anyway. But they just put the ball in his hands because he can make plays. Equally, those plays aren't always positive.
No, 41, 46, and 46, the amount of times he's thrown the ball so far in those 3 games. But he's thrown for 334, 235, and 395 in those 3 games. I'm not going to learn from my mistake from last week. I'm not going to do Tillman, don't worry. Albeit,
you've learned a little bit then.
I've learned a little bit. I don't know how that didn't cover. Just FYI, 8 targets. He managed to catch 3 of them, and he had a final chance as well late on. But it was the Jerry Jeudy show. I did say on the Sunday pod, I think all Cleveland receivers will go over their lines, and they did, except for Tillman.
Except for the one guy that you loved and put up as your player of the day. Yeah, I can't give you that, I'm afraid.
Yeah, that did happen. But I think this week we go bigger, we go better. I'm not going to take Tom's advice of don't bet anything Cleveland Browns, because I like David Njoku. I think David Njoku is going to have a big game. He's a guy that in fantasy I've traded for and happy with the start that he made. He got 19.1 fantasy points last week against New Orleans, but on 9 targets as well. He's a guy that Jameis Winston just loves throwing to. When Deshaun Watson was in, 5 targets in the opening game, 3 targets in week 5, 7 targets against Philadelphia, and then his injury came. Instantly spike 14 targets when Jameis Winston came in. Yes, Deshaun Watson was targeting more regardless, but 7 targets, and 9 targets is a guy that he ended last season ridiculously strongly. He was like tight end 1, I think, for the last 5 weeks of the season in fantasy football last year. But no less than 7 targets since Winston took over, 19 catches, 171 yards, and a touchdown for David Njoku. He's been under 61 yards once since Jameis Winston took over as well. And also, the Steelers, they're a very tough defense. You can't really do much against them because they will just limit you entirely. But tight ends, there's a little bit of room there for tight ends. In recent weeks, Isaiah Likely and Mark Andrews, they combined for 97 yards, which against the Steelers is quite a lot. Zach Ertz and Theo Johnson, in obviously separate games, they both went for over 30 yards. They wouldn't be tight ends that you'd be looking at as a sort of smash play or as a tight end to side with in any sort of game. So I do think that tight end is the position to target against the Steelers, mainly because Jameis Winston, they're going to be on him so quickly that he's just going to have to get the ball out. I did think about putting up the Nick Chubb unders, which would have been a first for the podcast to go unders on a player prop, but he's 51.5. But this Steelers run defense is absolutely ridiculous. But that's going to be my one play. David Njoku over 44.5 receiving yards. That is a line that has gone down as well. Was 47.5, went to 45.5, now 44.5. I don't think David Njoku has a brilliant game, Tom, but I think he has a good game.
Yeah, I don't disagree. I am going to stick by my rule and say that betting on the Browns, or in any format, whether that be money line against the spread or player props, it's just full of issues and problems because you never know what's going to happen. It's just so unpredictable. That being said, David Njoku is the one player, aside from maybe Nick Chubb, that you kind of expect to have a good game whenever he plays. He's also very hard to tackle and he's got good hands. So there is a lot to like about Njoku. And if he played for any other team, then I probably would look at him throughout the course of the season in player props. So I don't hate it. And especially with that line coming down, I think you're going to get good value with that receiving line of, what was it, 44.5?
44.5, yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's an exploitable line, to be honest, in this game. It's not one that I'd be attacking too much. I think it is the sort of game, if you wanted to put on like a bet builder or something like that, you could attack a few unders, because I don't think there will be many guys going big in here.
Yeah, I don't disagree. You can do the bet builders with SBK, by the way. There's a link in the description below if you do want to sign up to SBK, who we talked about earlier on. There are a couple of player props that did interest me, obviously on the Pittsburgh side of things. George Pickens is obviously the first point of call whenever you look at Pittsburgh. His line maybe not as interesting because we don't really know about Denzel Ward for the Browns yet. But if he does play, it's going to be tough for Pickens to hit the over. But the likes of Najee Harris and Jalen Warren, specifically in the receiving game, their lines are very, very low. I wouldn't be surprised if either of those hit the over. But I am just sticking with my Pittsburgh -4 as my only play here. I do want to say you're very, very Florida-based in this podcast. Not only have we talked about Florida State and you've purchased this lovely Florida polo for me, but you've given praise to Jameis Winston, who went to Florida State Uni, and you've now just put up David Njoku as your player prop, and he went to Miami.
I can't tell you how nice Florida is as a place.
You love it.
It's one of the greatest places on this planet. Albeit, that said, we live in England, and England sucks.
It is legitimately snowing while we're recording this podcast.
Not where I am. Where I am, it is just... I've been back in England for about a week and a half now. I haven't seen blue in the sky since I've come back. It's just been a carpet of grey. Like, there's no definition on it at all. I'm just looking at it now. There's no definition. It's just one colour of grey over.
It sounds like the Midlands. Sorry to anyone watching from the Midlands. Yeah, the weather's horrible here. I would quite like to have the weather in Florida right now. But yeah, you're very Florida-based. Hopefully it comes good for you this week.
Exactly. I thought I'd wear orange just to brighten the show up a little bit. But thank you for watching our Thursday Night Football preview. Remember to subscribe, leave a like, and if you want to, please leave a comment down below. In
that comment, I want people to tell me what they think the score of this game is going to be, because it's probably not going to be too many points separating the teams, albeit I am taking the Pittsburgh on the handicap to cover. I want to know what people think about the Cleveland Browns, because generally they're a very divisive team. Some people don't mind them, some people really hate them. I want to see if people think Cleveland can put it up to Pittsburgh in this game or not. So leave a score prediction down below, or at least, Pittsburgh by however many, and that'll be interesting to see.
And also, your favourite thing about England. There's not much.
What?
There's not much. Just anything.
Yeah.
Let's get anything positive about England going. Right, that's us done for Thursday Night Football. We'll be back later on in the week. We've got the Sunday preview to do and the Monday Night Football preview as well, which I'm very excited for. 3 NFL videos coming at you this week, but that is our Thursday Night Football video done. We'll see you a little bit later on this week. Until then, stay safe, look after one another. Goodbye.